Hello, my name is Tal. I'm a digital nomad. I've been traveling for 7 years. And in this video, I want to talk about how I use AI to find the best destinations for me as a digital nomad. So, what I realized is traveling around the world, most digital nomads are looking for that perfect spot for them, that place that they can call their home base. And while some people found it and are happily living in the place in the world that inspires them, that they love, a lot of people, myself included, are jumping around the world looking for those places that they can call home, that they feel welcome, where they like the food, the architecture, the weather, the cost of living, like all of these factors that matter to them, to find that perfect place. And so a lot of people use tools like nomadlist.com, which is something I use often. Which pretty much ranks all of the best cities in the world for digital nomads. But what I don't see people doing, and I tried it and it works really well, and I wanted to share with you guys, is how you can use AI, for example, ChatGPT, to give it really clear instructions about who you are, what you're looking for, what your time zone and budget and preferred weather is, to really find 5 or 10 of the best cities to consider, and also really quickly get information about each one of them. So I pretty much am going to provide you with a bunch of questions that you should ask yourself and then feed to ChatGPT. I'll show examples. I'm going to share my screen and show you what an example conversation is, just so you're well equipped with that information. And hopefully you can find your next home base through AI and through other tools such as, let's say, Nomad List. You can use them together to further your research. So I'm going to jump right in. This is the information that I gave AI just so it can um, better give me more relevant responses. So I started with my age. I'm 27. I said where I'm from, which is Canada. And the reason I do this is if it knows my nationality, it can provide me places that I can enter with a Canadian citizenship as a tourist. Um, I gave it what I like, such as my interests, the type of climate that I want. So personally, I prefer warm climates. I don't want to live full time in a place that's very cold, that has a long winter. Um, Also, I wrote a place that has a strong digital nomad community and strong internet. I think if you want a place which you can thrive as a digital nomad, this is something to include in all your searches. Um, the time zone that you work in, fortunately, I have a flexible work schedule where I could change my time zones, or sorry, I change my hours based on what time zone I'm in. So for me, this isn't the most important, but let's say if you work during German business hours or New York business hours, then of course, this is something to consider as well. And then a budget as well, just to filter out places that are too expensive if you have a low budget or medium budget. Then there's also a few other things you can write. For example, languages spoken. Maybe you speak a few languages and you would want to be in a country where they speak your language. This is especially important for languages with many countries that speak it. For example, Spanish or Russian or Arabic, for example, things like that. Safety concerns, that's a big one for a lot of people, myself included. And internet speeds, which I already mentioned. I think that's super important. So I'm going to share my screen and show you an example of what I did. So this is all the bullet points of things that I mentioned. If you want to see it, I'm also going to include it in the video description. And this is what I ended up writing. My name is Tal. I'm a 27-year-old digital nomad with a Canadian citizenship, who is into traveling, nature, architecture, mountains, and loves to meet new people. I like warm weather and beaches and places with a strong digital nomad community and strong internet connections. I can work in various time zones. My budget is between 1,500 and 2,000 US dollars for one person. I prefer a safe place where I can walk around at night. What are the 10 best destinations for me? So here is me feeding this into ChatGPT as an example. And what it told me, here it is that based on my preferences and requirements, here are 10 ideal places. So it mentioned, and it tells me why it chose that. So first, Bali. I have been to Bali. I actually do not like Bali that much, to be honest, but it is a place that kind of fits all of these criteria. Then Medellin, Colombia. I haven't been to Medellin, but I hear that it's one of the premier places for digital nomads, especially those working American business hours. Lisbon, Chiang Mai, Tbilisi, love all these places. Cape Town, which I found interesting because I did specifically mention a place that's safe. And even though I've been to safe Cape Town recently, and I really like it, and I do think it is a potential place for digital nomads, it's not the safest, unfortunately. Then Canggu, Playa del Carmen, Valencia, and Ho Chi Minh. So what's really good about this is not to stop here. So this is easy to find. If you go on Nomad list, you can also find a list of the best places. You could also ask any digital nomad who's been traveling for a while. These are no secrets. These are kind of the most popular and basic places for digital nomads. But what's really interesting is that you can ask follow-up questions to filter this out or get more information. So for example, I asked if all of them are safe to walk around at night, mostly to check Cape Town to see, what it would say about them. And just from that one question, it tells me every single city what the safety considerations are. So Bali is considered safe. Some areas can be touristy and attract petty crimes, etc. Cape Town has beautiful and safe areas, but also high crime rate in some parts. Stick to well touristed and well lit areas at night. So it gives really good safety advice for all of these places, which can filter out some of them or just give you more information about it. But there's also a lot of ways you can filter it. For example, I wrote what are the average monthly budgets needed for these cities, and all 10 of them, it gave me the approximate budget. So I could see like if I really want to save money, I can go to Tbilisi. If budget isn't really a problem, I can go somewhere like Valencia or Playa del Carmen, which is quite a bit more expensive than Tbilisi, for example. So this is really helpful just to see these numbers, presented to you immediately in a way that you can compare them all. Of course, I don't really trust these numbers. I think a lot of them are outdated. So more information, more research is needed to really get the exact and most up-to-date numbers for these cities. But I think this is good to compare one another. For example, I do know that Tbilisi is very cheap, so is Chiang Mai, and I know that Lisbon is, let's say, approximately twice as expensive as Tbilisi. So just from these lists here, I do agree with the relative expenses of one another. So that's something good to consider. What I did then is to try to filter it more. I work during German business hours. You can write American, whatever business hours you work. Can you only include the destinations where I can work during the daytime? Just to see if it can really nicely filter out these 10 places. So it gave me the three cities that are in the greater Europe area. I mean, Georgia is not in Europe, but whatever. That kind of have similar time zones where I could work comfortably from Germany, with German times. And it did a good job. It showed me the three places. And then I asked it to recommend 10 more destinations with a similar time zone. So, of course, most of them, if not all, are going to be in Europe. And of course, they are Barcelona, Rome, Prague, Budapest, Vienna, Zagreb, Belgrade, Ljubljana, and Bratislava. I'm actually in Belgrade right now, and it shows the time zones of them. So, I think this is a really good way to kind of get a list of cities that you should look into. And you can be very specific. So this is something that I think can really help you decide what cities to look into for your future destinations. So once again, give it your age if you think that's relevant, where you're from, what you like, the climate that you want. Mention that you want a strong digital nomad community, the time zone, the budget, the languages you want them to speak, safety concerns. Just as an example, we could also try only Arabic countries, for example. I would like to only live in cities where Arabic, oops, I spelled Arabic wrong, is widely spoken, for example. So now it is giving me places that have large Arabic communities, I guess, Arabic speaking communities, for example, Lisbon, Barcelona. I could say, please only give me cities where Arabic is the official language. Cities, Arabic, there we go. So now, yeah, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Abu Dhabi, Oman, Qatar, etc. And then you could say, what about those with Spanish as an official language, for example? And then it'll give you 10 other cities with Spanish as an official language. So it's really easy to get lists of cities that perfectly have as specific as you need filtering there. And then once again, once you get this list, once you choose three, four, five, eight places, I do recommend going on Nomad List and then doing more research on them. Nomad List is an amazing, incredible website where you can get a lot of really good information super quickly, like the total score, how many people liked it, family score. Like there's too much to cover in this video, but you can really look at it on your own time and discover all of this really cool information that you see about a place. But of course, Nomad List could be overwhelming because there's hundreds, if not thousands, of cities on there, and there are filtering options. But I think using AI could be really straightforward, and you can even use some filtering options that are not on Nomad List. So that is how I am going to find all my future destinations from now on. I hope you found this video valuable. If you do, please like and share this video and see you in the next one. Goodbye.